Welcome to the Lake House. I know we've been a little distant this time around due to the weather. All you Lake House fans, you know what's been going on here in Northeast Ohio with all the weather. But we're gonna have a show, one last show for the 2022 season before we start the new year. I have a very special guest that I'm going to bring on today. Um, I'm very appreciative of him coming on to visit us at the Lake House, and I'm going to bring him in now.
What's up, man? How you
What's up,
doing?
my man? I'm doing great.
Good.
So tell everybody about yourself, my man.
Well, Corey Sanchez 405. You can find me on all social media platforms at Sanchez 405. Host of On the Warpath here on YouTube. Been doing this for about going on about 7 years now, and been having a lot of fun talking about my Redskins football team, Commanders, and whatever name will be called. Do a lot of do interviews with podcasters, people associated with the team in the media, and I try to bring fan perspective, but I also try to bring a lot of humor to what I do on YouTube. So that's what I do. Usually do a game live stream every Sunday. If I'm not at a game, I'm usually doing a stream here on YouTube, like I will be doing tomorrow during the game at 1 o'clock our time. So really appreciate you having me on here, and look forward to talking shop and chopping up with you.
Well, like I said before, man, thank you for coming on. So the very first question we always ask our guests is, what were your expectations and how do you feel about the season so far?
Well, I thought we had a 9-8 team on the register. I just felt that way. You bring in Carson Wentz, thought that his arm talent would kind of help us get over the proverbial hump, and then the bottom fell out. Right, we start out 1-4, beat Chicago. He breaks his finger. Taylor Heineke comes in there. He wins 6 out of like 8 games, making us 7-1, and now he's getting replaced. I thought the defense had some struggles throughout the year. A guy that you were familiar with for rival Cincinnati, William Jackson III. They cut him. The defense was abysmal before then. Once he was out of the picture, the defense seemed to rise to the occasion. Of course, we got Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen on there, and Montez Sweat. That's our three big guys. Chase Young finally came back. He tore his ACL back in November. But what I was expecting was a team that was going to compete. Wasn't going to have like a slow start. They'd have some lulls, but it seems like they always catch up. Ron Rivera's teams, especially in Washington, have been notorious for starting slow but finishing strong. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of a low. We haven't won a game since we played Atlanta 3 weeks ago, and we've lost to the Giants. We've tied with the Giants, and we lost to San Francisco back on Christmas Eve. So we're looking to get back where we're at now, and I still think 9 wins is attainable, and that starts tomorrow against Cleveland.
So speaking of injuries, both on the offense and the defense, where do you expect your weakness to be in tomorrow's game?
I feel like our weakness is going to be kind of a twofold thing. I think on special teams, it's going to be weak because our kickoff returner, Antonio Gibson, his decision is he's going to be out, and he was our starting running back for for the last 2 years. But we got Brian Robinson Jr. drafted from Alabama after he came back. So that's going to hurt us also in the run game with Antonio Gibson not being there. We've had struggles in the secondary. Benjamin St. Juste has been questionable. Cam Curl, who missed last week's game at San Francisco, was very noticeable that he was missing from that secondary. So hopefully those two guys can go. If not, Deshaun Watson company could have a field day. And our linebacker play is usually a suspect at best. So if you have an opportunity, even with injuries. We put John Bostic on IR, but it really didn't matter. He was terrible in pass coverage. He's always been a liability. So our linebackers are razor thin. And I would also probably say we've had injuries of a revolving door on offensive line as well. So that's kind of where we've got problems all over the place, to be honest with you, as far as injuries go.
And like we were talking before we started,
Mhm.
it really does. The more in depth we go with this, it really does sound like two kindred spirits. Because
Yep.
as far as our linebackers go, Anthony Walker, lost him in our first Thursday night game. I think that was Halloween against the Steelers. A week later, we lose Jacob Phillips. Then we go to Deshaun Watson's first game. We lose Sione Takitaki. And then 2 weeks, I think, 2 weeks after that, we lose JOK. And we're starting guys like Reuben Foster and guys that nobody's heard of. As far as the offensive line
Y'all
goes
have
for
Reuben
us,
Foster?
yes, we do.
Wow. I didn't realize that. I didn't think he was back in the league.
Yeah, we picked him up off of somebody's practice squad. I can't think of their name right now, but
Oh.
yeah, we picked him up. And then as far as the offensive line goes, Jack Conklin, he's been up and down. He is coming off of another serious injury, even though we just gave him a 4-year extension. Um, Wyatt Teller has had a calf issue, and he's been playing through that injury a lot because we're so strung out. We lost Dalton Deason, who was a 7th-round pick. We lost him in the in training camp. We lost Nick Harris, who was supposed to replace J.C. Treader. We lost him week 1 in the preseason. And then Ethan Pochich got hurt and missed about a month. And he just returned for last week's game. And then, depending on who you ask in Browns country, Jedrick Wells either needs to be fired, released, just because of body language. He's arguing with fans on Twitter. And then there's Joe Batonio, the hopefully future Hall of Famer, who's been holding it down at left guard. Um, so, with all of that out of the way, what do you think will be your strength in tomorrow's game? Will it be your defense or will it be your offense?
I think that's going to be. I know it's going to be the defense. I think they've had a couple of rough goes at it lately. They're strong against the run. Tight end coverage is suspect at best. I think they can contend with any wide receivers in the league, but it's all about making pressure and getting to the quarterback, making number 4 feel uncomfortable. Deshaun Watson. So I think we can do that. Chase Young is back. I thought he played admirably last week coming off his injury, and it really showed that Washington handled the injury of Chase Young wisely. And I've never been able to say that about my team and handling a face of the franchise type talent. They didn't do it for RG3. Y'all got the remnants of him.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I'm sorry for old Bob Griffin, but just good on ESPN, right? So I think that the defense will be the strength. I think Cam Curl's going to be back. Ben St. Juice, hopefully he'll be healthy. And I think that's going to make some opportunities because this is a defense that's hungry and they know that they need to tee off, especially with Carson Wentz being the quarterback and helping him out and being more comfortable as he been re-anointed as the starter for the last 2 games of the season.
So that brings me to my next question. How do you feel about the switch that they're making to go back to Carson Wentz after having success with Tyler Heinicke?
The big thing about I was never really a Heinicke fan. They call them the Heinicke Hive in Washington. I call them the Heinicke Hopers, and they always hope that Heinicke would be this great talent, give him the opportunity. Now, I'm not going to throw off on Taylor because I can do that. I ain't going to waste your time on that. But I thought that Taylor, in a way, was kind of done wrong. And he's kind of stabbing him back because there was a report. Jay Glazer said if he doesn't perform well, Carson Wentz is going to come out there. What
Yeah.
you spent $28 million on Carson Wentz, so I preach patience. And I don't like rash decisions, especially when it comes to quarterback, especially with the offensive line and shambles. A lot of that's not Taylor Heineke's fault. I think that offensive coordinator Scott Turner, who was wide receivers coach for Cleveland back when had his Gordon, when Josh Gordon had his career year, he was his position coach. But I don't trust the offensive coordinator to get it right. His play calling is suspect on a good day, and I just want to win. He's my Taylor Heinicke was my quarterback. Carson Wentz is my quarterback. I don't care how I get there. I just want to win. People are so like this is why people wanted to make the change from Heinicke because of his lack of arm strength, which he has a high school level arm strength. There's no doubt about that. But the team rallied around him. And they're winning games. People always, this is my problem with people, and you might see this in Cleveland. People would rather lose sexy than win ugly. I want to win. That's my whole mantra. So whoever's gonna win it, Carson's gonna go out here and win games. He's my quarterback. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But I don't really have a horse in this race. I just want the best guy out there to go out there and win.
It's funny that you say that because we went through the same thing with Jacoby Brissett this year. Everybody was like, our season is lost. They might as well just sit Watson out the whole year. And then Jacoby overachieves. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to disrespect Jacoby. He did really overachieve. I think he succeeded in the offense because he's one of those guys, if you set him up with structure and you give him an opportunity, he does pretty well. He's not one of those guys that's going to Russell Wilson it when he was in Seattle. He's not one of those guys. The whole argument here is we were in the playoff. We had a playoff chance. We should have kept Brissett going just so that we could have a chance to make the playoffs. But at the end of the day, I just want to win. I don't care who starts. I don't care if we start third string guys. If you can find a way in the NFL, find a way. Mm-hmm. And that's been the issue for the Browns all year long when we lose to the Jets, when we lose to Atlanta, who you guys just played. Just running the ball down our throat. And that's actually where I think we're going to struggle against you guys tomorrow, excuse me. In the fact that I think Brian Robinson Jr. has been averaging, 4.9 a carry?
Yeah, it's something stupid like that. But we only run them 12 times a game.
and for our sake, I actually hope that's what you do, because if you look at the Browns stats, we're 30th, and I think 30th in the pass and 32nd in the run game. So running the ball whenever you want to is usually how it goes for us this year. What is the one thing you're most worried about from this Browns offense?
Nick Chubb. I like the way he balls. He worries me. A mobile quarterback like Deshaun Watson. Like it always seems like Washington's always the get right team in situations like this. And I feel like Deshaun could possibly have a get right moment against us. Like that's always in the back of my head. You can ask any Washington fan. It's like, oh, this is the day. This is the day. We're gonna give it up. And Deshaun Watson is just gonna. We're the next guy on the ledger for him. So that's what worries me about the offense is Chubb getting his wheels about him, and then maybe Deshaun Watson, y'all breaking us down with some play action and everything. And that, because our defense has been susceptible to that. We played good running backs the last 3 weeks. Saquon Barkley twice, Christian McCaffrey, which we did well against Christian McCaffrey. I think we only he held him like 40 some yards on the ground, but the tight ends is what killed us. So if you got good tight ends, I think y'all still have Njoku, right? Is
Absolutely.
he healthy? Yeah. So
he owes us one for what he pulled last week.
Yeah. Okay. He got like I don't know. Every time I hear about him, and y'all probably it's always he's got like a finger or a hand or something. Something wrong with him, and I'm like, dude, you're too talented to keep on having these issues with your hands, man.
Absolutely. And I think where I'll give him credit last year and this year, if he can be on the field, he's on the field. Mm-hmm. He's improved his blocking. He's improved his catching. I think yesterday he tried to psych himself into believing that the cold was not going to bother him, and it did. It absolutely did. Because you can go on Brown's Twitter, Instagram. He's out there like every week, which I give him credit for. He's out there shirtless. If I looked like that, I'd be out there shirtless too. But come on, dog, you're on the lake, and it's minus 10 degrees with a wind chill of minus 25. Like, I think he psyched himself out. But I think that the chemistry for him and Watson and Cooper, I think that's where if that shows up, I think that's where we're going to surprise some people. A lot of people here, especially in the media, like Mary Kay Cabot or the guys on ESPN radio in the morning, they really think that this will be the game where we really get to see the Deshaun Watson of old. Because if you looked at his first game against Houston, he was skipping balls like I was throwing rocks at the lake. The next game, he was late on passes, but he was hitting open guys. Then you go to the next game and he is on time, perfect ball. Guys are just dropping it because they're out there throwing a rock in, minus whatever degrees. So I think now that he gets to play in some warm weather, everybody gets to play in some warm weather, be away from home, away from the distractions and the things going on in the media. I think that this could be that game. My next question is, what is your score prediction?
Score prediction. I think we win, of course, right? I'd say good weather. We're gonna run the ball. Make it quick. Let's go 20-10. Washington. I'll go there. I think the defense has the defense rises up to the occasion, and the offense does just enough to win this game.
Okay. It was kind of close. I actually had the Browns 23, Commanders 17. I think there's I think we do some field goals early, but if we continue to hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, as most Nick Chubb fans know, it's harder to tackle Nick Chubb in the fourth quarter than it is in the first and second quarter. And I think that's where we catch a ride early in the fourth, and then Watson takes us down the field for the eventual game winner. Do you have any questions about the Browns' perspective?
I guess my biggest thing is, what's the confidence level going forward? Because this season's a wash for you all. So what's the with the coaching staff, with Deshaun Watson? What's the pulse of the fan base and I guess the media and going forward with this team? Because I mean, y'all have been built to go to the playoffs, and it just seems like it's been. It's been a kind of a wash.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. It's a loaded question. I'll have to break that down in pieces. So I want to address the coaching staff first because I keep getting into it with people about this situation. Baker Mayfield is not the guy. Yes, he's having some success over in
Can't hear you, brother. Let me hear. They can't hear you.